What's up, everyone? All right, so here we are. It is time for 2019 year in review. I know this is a little late, but better late than never. And my thing with this was I was having such a hard time putting it together because 2019, it was a year where I had some really big ups and some really big downs. So we're gonna break that down during this episode of Year in Review, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. And as always, if you have questions, you wanna learn more about my strategy, you can check out the links in the description. Those links will break down, if you register for my upcoming webinar, that'll break down how I find stocks, where I get in, where I get out. I didn't really break down that stuff during this episode. I more talked about the high level of my metrics, my P&L, the emotional stuff, what worked, what didn't work, and things like that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the PDT rule, about margin trading, offshore brokers, things like that. I'll have some links in the description about those as well. So as always, questions, comments, leave them below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys for the next episode. All right, get into it. I hope you guys enjoy it. What's up, everyone? All right, so we're gonna do 2019 year in review here. This is my fourth or fifth attempt at putting this together. I'm kind of struggling with it because 2019 in a lot of ways was an incredible year. I achieved the $1 million milestone, turning $583 into $1 million bucks. But I was also left feeling a little disappointed because I know I could have done so much better. And so I want to try to take some of that disappointment and some of the things I was disappointed with and just not satisfied with, and turn that into goals and things that I can do to make 2020 a better year. Because I think ultimately all of us at one time or another in our career to be traders, we'll have months where we feel like I really missed the boat on a bunch of great opportunities, or I bought this stock at the absolute worst place and I'm probably the only person in the world that lost money on it. And the only thing you can do is turn those losses into lessons to help you become a better trader. So we're going to talk about that today as I kind of break down the highlights and also some of the low points of 2019. So to give you kind of a breakdown, as many of you guys know, 2017, I started the $583 account challenge. In 2017, I grew that account from $583 to $335,000. In 2018, I grew it from $335 up to $834. And in 2019, I grew it from $834 up to $1.2 million. And that's where I finished at the end of December, and the account is continuing to grow. The $1 million challenge, it wasn't like I'm going to turn the account into $1 million and then stop trading or start over. It, for me, is just, that was a milestone that I wanted to cross, and the next one is, 2 million or whatever. It's just, I just want to keep growing the account and growing the total profit that I've made from this tiny initial starting balance. So the topics that we're going to cover here today in this video: crossing the $1 million in profits milestone, the big ups, the big downs, roller coaster trading, which was really kind of the theme of 2019, 2 red months, that was not fun, trading rehab, a new small account challenge that many of you guys were watching during the month of December, which set a new record for me, and then we'll talk a little bit about 2020 and beyond. All right, so let's start with completing the $583 challenge. Now, why did I day trade with only $583? All right, well, how did I, and then why did I? So number one, there's a lot of ways that you can trade with small accounts. Many of you guys have seen me do a small account challenge with TD Ameritrade. You can set up an account with $500 with TD Ameritrade and you can start trading. So that's not really a super hard thing. However, if you want to day trade more than 3 times a week and use a margin account, then you're probably going to look at offshore brokers, whether they're in Europe or they're in the Caribbean. I chose a broker in the Caribbean. I started with depositing $700, and I had traded with that broker about a year prior to starting this challenge when I did a short 1 month challenge. And at the end of, or sort of at the middle of the month, I finished my challenge, and then I cleared out the account. I took all my money out of the account and left it with zero. At the end of the month, the account was charged a software and platform fee and was left with a negative balance. They never emailed me or reached out to me to fulfill the balance, so I didn't. And then when I deposited $700 in December of 2016, leading up to this new small account challenge, well, as it turned out, I had my negative balance, so what was left was $583.15. And then in the first 44 days, I turned that account into $100,000. Now, the goal that I had set for myself for 2017 was to turn $583 into $100,000, but I thought it would take me the entire year. I knew the first $25,000 would sort of be the hardest, just because trading with an account as small as $583, you just don't have a lot of buying power. And so it's hard to grow an account quickly. So we can just look here at, let's see, 2017. Zoom in here. This was the month of January, the first month, which ended up being a really great month. On the first day, I made $125, $187. So, that's what made me think, man, $200 a day, that's $50,000 a year. If I can turn this into $100,000 by the end of the year, that's going to be pretty good. But towards the end of the month, I started having bigger days, $1,000, $1,900, $2,300, $7,500, a red day here, and then I'll switch back here and going into February. Oh, let me switch back here. How did it do that? Here we go. Going into February, I had a $4,000 day, then a $15,000 day, and now the account was really growing fast. So why was I able to start stepping it up so quickly? Well, this is the way it goes when you trade with margin and leverage. So the account that I set up, because it was offshore, even with $500, I was allowed to have leverage and margin. And so that meant when I deposited $500, I had 500 times 6 of buying power. So I had $3,000 of buying power on day one. So now by the end of January here, with $20,000 in the account, $20,000 times 6, now I've got $120,000 of buying power. So now I was able to start growing the account really, really fast. And so I ended up making $100,000 in 44 days. So since I crossed the $100,000 level on like March 8th or whatever it was, I decided just to spend the rest of 2017 seeing how much I could grow the account. And really, I kind of settled into a nice groove through 2017 and going into 2018. And I'll kind of show you here down to the end of 2018. It was just nice, slow and steady. I mean, things were a little slow during the summer of 2017, but then it picked up in October, November, December. Got myself up to 335. Going into 2018 was super strong. A few little dips here and there, but nothing significant. So in 2017 through 2018, the biggest drawdown that I experienced was about $24,000, $25,000. And that means that, and this was, let's see, on May 5th of 2018. So that was right in this area, I guess. Okay, so right in here, I was up $536,000, and then I lost $25,000 off of the all-time highs. So that's what creates what's called a drawdown. And it's not unsurprising that drawdowns get bigger as your account grows, because you can be more aggressive and trade with larger amounts of money. But I was pretty good through this period. A bit of a drawdown there early on, and I guess this period right here. No, it was right in here, and then again right there, and a couple others here and there. All right, so 2018 was solid. Going into 2019, I knew that 2019 would be the year that I would cross over the $1 million mark. I knew it would be because I was coming in with 800,000+. It was just a matter of time. And so as I kind of got into 2019, I started really psyching myself out about what when I was going to cross that level, what day it was going to be, what month it was going to be. And that's when things started to get difficult. So the first $25,000 from 583 to 25 grand, and the last 25,000 from 975,000 to $1 million, that was really the hardest. And you know why? It's not because I really had to trade any differently. It's because the emotional stakes started to get really high. The emotional stakes at the beginning, and then the emotional stakes towards the end of the race. And so you know what ended up happening? Right the day before I was about to cross the level, I was at $992,000, and then I lost 47 grand over the course of about 5 days of trading, where I was just being emotionally impulsive, super aggressive, and it was terrible. I was really disappointed with myself. Now I ended up bouncing out of that loss and crossing over the $1 million mark. And we can see here, this is actually my equity curve just for 2019. And so this right here was where I lost 47,000. It took me about a month to make it back. And then in May, I had a great month of May, and then dropped back down in the middle of June. June ended up not being that great. July was so-so. And then August, really big green month. And then September, not great. October, I ended up being red. November, right through here, I was in trader rehab, and then I came out in December really, really strong. So I ended up setting a record here last year in 2019 of record drawdown, which, given the fact that the account was at this point over $1 million in profit, I guess is not the end of the world, but it certainly felt disappointing. It didn't feel like that was the type of record that I was wanting to set. And in fact, if I look at my my P&L, you'll notice that there was a pretty significant change in the way I traded from 2017 to 2019, especially at that window, right as I was about to cross that level. I'll get into that more in just a second, but what I wish for 2020 is that I can hopefully smooth out some of these kind of big draws to the downside. I mean, the move to the upside is great, but sometimes I was taking more risks than I should have, and then that on some occasions led to some really big losses. So pulling back the risk a little bit, focusing on quality setups is one of the goals I have for this year. And if we look here, this was the profit by month for 2019. And so you can see that I was red in March and I was red again in October. So red on 2 months. Now, I'll say that being red is not statistically unusual for me. If we look at 2017, I was red in April, and I was red again in September. I had 2 red months in 2017. And I had a really slow period from April until September. But I was really strong in the first 3 months and the last 3 months, and that made up for it. Now let's look at 2018. 2018. 12/31/2018. And notice again, I was red here in February by 10,000, and August was, I was up 1,300, but this is basically a break-even month. It was not a good month for me. First month of the year, 117,000 was awesome. That still is the best month of all time for me. Hopefully by the time some of you guys are watching this video, I've set a new record there, but that was a 2018 record. And then the end of the year was not bad. 2019. All right, let's look at this again down here, filter. And you'll see the 2 red months. March, 21,000, big red month. That was the biggest red month I'd had in a long time. October, 19,000, another big red month. So I wasn't happy with that. Although, of course, I had some really nice green months, 54, 78, 86, second biggest green month of all time there. 44,000 in August, not bad. December, 55,000. And of course, that was the beginning of that small account challenge. So it's not statistically uncommon for me to have 2 red months each year, which is nice to know that you can be wrong 2 months out of the year and still finish the year in really good shape. But after October, I really did feel pretty I felt deflated. I just felt so frustrated with myself because at that point it was obvious that I wasn't going to hit that $500,000 goal that I'd set for myself. You know, I just sort of had said, well, Ross, you know, if you made 335 and 17 and 518, you've got to make at least 519, if not closer to 600 or 700. That was sort of my just logical thinking. And I guess I kind of failed to acknowledge and accept the fact that in trading, you may have some years that are amazing and then a year that's just not as good. And the market it's not the same as having a job where you make the same amount each year plus 2%, where it's a straight line up. And that's one of the reasons that we love trading, because you can have a day or a week where you end up making a full month's salary. But you can also have a day, a week, or even a year where you make a little less than you had thought. And so rather than set the goal of, well, I need to make at least $10,000 a month in order to, you know, cover my cost of living and, you know, feel like I'm still making enough money that it's worth trading, I set the goal that I need to be making 500 because I need to make more than last year. And that started getting in my head a little bit in September, because in September I knew that at this point I was tracking behind my goal. And so I kept saying, you know what, it's okay because October, November, and December are typically my strongest months. And I can probably make 150 grand in those 3 months if I really, you know, get some hot momentum, if I'm aggressive on my share size, and I, you know, step up to the plate. So I started stepping up to the plate in October and swinging as hard as I could. And I kept striking out. I wasn't trading the market I was in. I was trading my own P&L. I was trading my own goals. And the reality is the market really wasn't that hot in October. It was statistically a little unusual. It was also a little unusual that August was as strong as it was, but that's the market. Sometimes it's like that. And you have to trade the market you're in, not the market you want to be in. So after October, I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm throwing the goal of $500,000 out the window. I'm going to just accept that that's not going to happen this year, and I'm going to switch gears. You know, I already crossed the $1 million mark. I don't have anything that I need to really do with that. Let's just switch gears. I'm going to put myself into 1 month of trader rehab. And I checked into trader rehab in November. Max share size, 2,000 shares. Max daily loss, $2,000. The first 3 days went great. I was like, all right, 2,000 shares. The stress was so much lower. I didn't feel as stressed out. I was like, you know, I felt good. I was taking 2,000 shares, jumping in, getting some profit, getting out, and that was it. And then on this day, Wednesday, I was trading on my laptop in California. And, you know, again, not uncommon. I traded a good portion of the year last year on my laptop. But on that particular day, I had flown to California overnight, and I was really tired the next morning. Waking up at 5:30 in the morning local time, but plus not sleeping well. And, you know, I slept a little on the airplane, but not well. So anyways, so I lose $2,000 and I was like, God dang it. I was so furious because I was like, $2,000, that's a full $1 per share loss. You know, to lose that amount is really not good. And then I was like, the quickest way for me to make back 2,000 is to up my share size to like 4,000 or 8,000 shares. But then I couldn't do that because I set this rule. Then on Thursday, a second red day, $1,300. And I was just like, I was so frustrated. I didn't trade on Friday. I came back on Monday and lost another $900. And at this point I was like, I'm in trader rehab, but this is not going well at all. Now I'm red on the month. You know, this is not working. But you know, it wasn't working because I was really fighting it. I wasn't embracing the rules of rehab, which was trade the best, leave the rest. I was trading a little bit of this. I was trying to hit home runs. And so I kind of had this first basic, you know, this period right here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of just sloppy trading before here I started to really iron it out. So, you know, I fought it a little bit going into trader rehab. I had a green day here, but I was being aggressive. I had then another red day here where I gave back most of the profit. Here, I pressed the reset button again. I was like, all right, well, I'm in the middle of the month, but whatever. I'm pressing the reset button again. I'm just going to stop thinking about it. And I kind of started fresh. Now, one thing that I'll note, and let me see where my calendar is. I started doing something a little different at sort of the middle of the year, or I guess it was actually right around November. Now I can't seem to find. Oh, here we go. So what I had been doing for several years was maintaining a calendar of how much I had made during that year. So I had this, this sort of calendar of my P&L, and I would write down each day how much I had made. And I would keep this calendar kind of like right next to my desk, and I would even bring it with me when I would travel. And I really enjoyed, especially on the green months, seeing, green day after green day after green day. But on the red months, every time I would sit down at my desk, I would have this dang thing looking at me. And I even had a couple of months where I would take a sticky note like this and just like cover up that one, day of the month, because I was like, I don't want to look at that day anymore. And then I started realizing that it actually wasn't helping me to be so fixated on how much I was making each individual day. And that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not about how much, necessarily how much you make each day or each week or each month. It's step back on the bigger picture. Are you consistently making money? Okay, that's all that matters. And I think that I needed to sort of let that go. And so around November, I put away my calendar, and I haven't brought it out since. And I've felt a real sense of kind of freedom from that. And so here I just kind of said, well, rather than look at it as I'm in this terrible shape of the month on 4 really bad red days, I'm just going to start over here to be focused. Good trade, great trading, great job. Small red day, that's the test, and I passed. Continuing, and then starting on December 1st, the new Small Account Challenge. And I put out some really great YouTube videos during the month of November. It was really exciting. I was getting really pumped up for this new Small Account Challenge. And then on the first day, I was really nervous because I realized, I've been putting out these videos for the almost last 4 or 5 weeks about this new challenge and this, first going into trader rehab and the new Small Account Challenge I'm doing. What if I fail? And I started having this fear of like, what if everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and I, on day one just get hammered and take a really big loss. And the other thing that was a little different this year for this Small Account Challenge was that I wasn't going to have 6 times leverage on day one. I was going to have only 4 times leverage. I was using a different broker. So on day one, I made $139. All right. Thank goodness. All right. So a green day. Day 2, I lost $20. And I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. Day 3, $41. Okay, that's good, I guess. It's moving in the right direction. Day 4, $372. Finally. That's what I needed. Now I've got a little bit of a cushion. I'll pull up my my calendar here. I'm going to type in a tag for CMEG. This was the broker that I was using. All right, so there we go. So $53,000 in 17 days. And this was me being so focused, only trading from 9 to 10 a.m. I didn't mess around with afternoon trades. Wednesdays happened to be a bad day. I think I was just luck of the draw, whatever. Fridays were really good. I was calling it Wild Card Friday because it was just, usually we don't expect Fridays to be that great. And where was it? Oh, I was looking for my equity curve here. And so this is what the first few days looked like. 39, a red day, another green day, whatever, making progress here. And really quickly, I started to grow the account. Now, I ended up having a red day on the 12th. I lost $381, and I did it live trading in front of about 100 students. We were at a seminar in Miami. But the day before, I'd had a green day, and I didn't really beat myself up about it. And then on Friday, the day after the seminar, I had the best day that I'd had in the challenge, $1,300. I doubled my account in one day. I then doubled my account on 3 other occasions during this challenge. I had 4 days where I doubled my account. I doubled my account here on the day I made $18,000. I doubled my account on this day where I made $3,400. and I think I doubled my account on this day right here when I made 7,700. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4 days where I doubled my account. And this set a new record, 500 to 50,000, 53,000 in 17 days. And that capped off the year and put me up to 367,000 on the year. But when we look at the year at a whole, this was a great finish, a fantastic finish. But when we step back and we look at 2019, starting again at 1/1/2019, one of the things that definitely disappoints me in this year was that not just that I made a little less than maybe I had wanted. I had that goal of 500,000. What really disappoints me here is this right here, my profit loss ratio. My average winners dropped from in the previous year from over $1,000. This was 2018, over $1,000 average winner. Accuracy only 65%, but largest gain was 24,000 and largest loss was 10. Now in 2019, well, it was a little bit of the opposite. 12/31/2019. Oops. Largest gain 17,000. Largest loss 19,000. And on that day, I finished down $29,000. 67% accuracy, but my average winners were only 874. My average losers were 1134. So if we zoom in here a little bit on the day and time is somewhat relevant. I did a little afternoon trading, and it didn't pay off for me. I ended up being net negative trading past 11 a.m. So if I had just traded from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and stopped at 11, I would have made an extra, a little bit more money. If I'd stopped trading, I guess at 11:30. Let's do this at 30-minute increments. So, it looks like if I'd stopped trading at 10:30, from 10:30 to 11, then from 11 to 11:30. So really, if I'd stopped trading at 10:30, I would have done better. I would have made an extra like $20,000, $30,000. Obviously, I had 2 red months, which was disappointing. And then let's look here at instrument. I had one stock that I lost $38,000 on. That was terrible. This stock just really got me good. The day I lost 30 grand, I'm almost positive it was on that stock. I can go back here, but in any case, 99% sure this was the one. And so that was disappointing. I kind of set a couple new records there. I had some stocks I did really well on, of course. And in fact, in the last 2 days, today I'm up 25,000 and yesterday I was up 12,000, and that was on one stock. So I've got about 30 plus thousand in profit this year on one stock, which is going to break my record from last year. So I'm happy with that. But I am disappointed that last year I had a couple of really big losses, a few that got away from me. And I think that was the result of trying to be a little bit of a cowboy, a little bit of a hero. I was hoping to have a couple of those Hail Mary passes where, in one trade I'd have a new record. Because in 18 I'd set records of, best year 500,000, biggest green day 40,000 in one day. And in 19 I was feeling like, man, I'm not hitting record green days. I'm not hitting record green months. I'm not hitting record profits. It's kind of disappointing. But then, of course, in December, I hit a record from 500 to 50,000, 53,000. So I'm trying to kind of let myself off the hook for that and not let that pressure push me to be overly aggressive here in 2020 as we start this new year. So the profit loss ratio last year was not great. It was negative. 874 average winners, 1,100 average losers. Accuracy was 67%. That was good. Consistency was, generally speaking, about average. I had only 2 red months, and that has been consistent for the last 3 years. Now, if we go and look at $583 to $1.2 million, which would be going all the way back from January 2017 to the end of last year, 1.2 million roughly. And by the way, for those that are curious, I can pull up my audited statement. When I crossed the $1 million mark, I decided to go ahead and get those statements examined by an independent CPA, and I have those. Let's see, where are they? They're on my website. Right at the footer, you'll see verified P&L. So this was an audit by Citrin Cooperman. I can jump over and see their website if you're curious. But in any case, they're one of the big CPAs. And so they did the whole examination of my broker statements from 2017 to May 31st, 2019. And from June 1st until the end of December will be added on to this audit shortly. So it'll eventually say to 1.2 million and then to 1.5 and to 1.7 and to 2 and et cetera, et cetera. Average monthly gain, $36,000 during the small account challenge. Total growth, 183,000%. And you can see right here. So this was the independent accountant's report where they reviewed my statements. They signed off on them from January 2017. This is the percentage return each month. And then this was the dollar amount return each month, starting balance, and then the growth from there. So 1.07 million, which was at the end of May. And so now I've grown it by the end of December up to 1.2 million. The profit loss ratio continues now to be negative because of my largest loss that I had back here in 2019. But there's always hope to bring that back up by focusing 2020 on keeping losses really small. Because think about it. If I have, this is a total of 3,800 trades, all right? So that's 1,200 losing trades. So if over the next 600 losing trades, I can keep my losses as small as, $300 or something like that, that's going to bring my average losses way, 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 way back down. And of course, if my average winners can be a little bit bigger, that'll bring my average winners back up. And so these metrics will change over time, no doubt about it. But negative profit loss ratio is a little disappointing. I think it speaks to the fact that I can at times be very aggressive. In fact, if you look at my trading, we look at overview and we look at the calendar, how many days did I take off in 2019? One, I think this was President's Day. So that was a market close. So 1, 2, maybe 3. 4th of July market's closed. 5, 6, I was in Italy then. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, that was the Christmas. So, I've got maybe like 13 or so days off in the year. Some of those days I came into trade and I didn't see anything, but there's about 250 trading days in the year. So I found something to trade 90% of those days. If I was only at, if I took 20 days off, then I would have traded 90%. So I traded 95% of the day. So basically, in other words, I find something to trade every single day. Even though sometimes the market's not really that hot, I still find something to trade. This was when I had a concussion. So that was that. I took that full week off. But I don't take time off. I trade every single day. And, for me, it's kind of funny, like that I'm able to find something worth trading every day. And I think it speaks to the fact that I'm able to adjust my quality standard to the market I'm in. If we don't see anything A quality, well, I'll trade B and C quality. And so I'd like to try to increase my standard a little bit. Not to the point where I take multiple days where I'm not trading, but where maybe I trade with smaller share size if I don't see A quality setups. Because just kind of pushing through and trading through everything, it feels like I'm getting beaten up sometimes. I think of these big boats out in the Bering Sea when big storms are coming through, and you can either try to push through the storm and keep fishing. You beat up the boat, you beat up your crew, you beat up your all your equipment, or you take shelter behind one of these islands and you kind of just ride out the storm. And at the end, what do you save or lose by doing that? I mean, I think with me, pushing through is not always been the best thing to do. Performance by instrument volume, low volume stocks have often trapped me into some really big losses where I jump in thinking it's going to rip and I'm totally wrong and it just tanks on me. Higher volume is where I've done better, typically. LEDS, BOXL, a few stocks that I've done particularly well on. MYO, the one that I've just been trading the last few days, is going to now go on the list here as another one of my top 10 stocks. I mean, this is pretty unbelievable. From $7 to $35, and then this morning all the way up to $40. I jumped on that in the first 5 minutes of the day for a break of pre-market highs. So that's going to be, another nice one on in the record books. But generally speaking, from 583 to 1.2, I've proven that even if you do get a little aggressive, even if you have 2 red months a year, even if you're wrong 32% of the time, you can still be successful. It's not to say that my results are typical. I should probably say that these results are not typical. This took a lot of hard work, dedication, discipline, drive, years of studying before I started the $583 challenge. But it's been impressive. There's no question about that. And my goal for 2020 is to try to, of course, continue to grow the account. And this was the seminar that we hosted in Miami in 2019 with about 100 students. And so this was me live trading in front of everyone. And it was an awesome event. It was so much fun. We had a great time. And I'm hoping to host more events like that in 2020 and in the future as we look forward. I've been actively working for the last few months on finding a really good space that we can use for these types of events and host them on a more regular basis, because they're a lot of fun for me. They're really great for those that are able to attend, and I want to try to make that a more regular thing. And really, my goal with the small account challenge, I did that small account in December. I finished the challenge. It wasn't about trying to grow it to 100K in less than 44 days. It was just a 1-month challenge. It was fun. Right now I'm doing a TD Ameritrade small account challenge, and that's been fun, a little challenging for different reasons, but 2020, I'm sure you'll continue to see different challenges, me switching things up a little bit just to kind of keep things interesting and have fun and help you guys who are at the beginning of your learning curve. So I hope this has been a fun episode for you guys to sit in on, and I hope you've learned a little bit about my strategy. I didn't really hone in or zoom in on any specific highlight trades from 2019, although I will say that, and I can log in here, I should be able to log in to our members dashboard, just to show you that those of you guys who are part of the classes and the curriculum, you're able to see a lot of my live trading archives. So if you get in there and you want to learn a little bit more about my strategy or how I'm trading, et cetera, you can actually go in there. You can, of course, watch the classes, but you can also watch the actual live archives. So let me put this up here. I'm going to click on educational courses. We'll jump in here, and I just want to show you the live trading archives. So these archives are pretty cool. This was the beginning of the small account challenge. So this was day 5. So on this day, I'm trading in the small account, and in this video, I'm kind of breaking it down for you, showing you the live trading recording of me getting in, getting out, how the trade happened, and everything else. Several of my students who have become successful traders also put videos in here on trades that they've taken, and I kind of give you a little bit of a different take. It's these guys trade sort of different variations of my strategy. They've kind of modified it for what works for them, which is awesome. I mean, that's ultimately what it's about. I want you guys to take my strategy and learn as much as you can from it, and then if you decide to adapt it a little bit to suit your personal risk tolerances and everything else, You know, good for you. That's totally fine. So as always, questions, comments, please leave them down below, and I will see you guys for the next, probably be the next midday market recap. All right, I'll see you guys all real soon. Bye, everyone. You want to learn more about trading? Check out some of the links in my description, and if you have questions, ask them in the comments. I personally respond to every question posted on my channel. And don't forget to subscribe.